If there's anything about the Pokemon franchise, it's that there are a lot of birds. Regional birds, legendary birds, even more legendary birds. And the most universal trait about these avians is the fact that they all carry the flying type. It's almost as if being a bird Pokemon is synonymous with having that type in the first place. However, in today's video, I am using a full team of bird Pokemon that aren't flying type. Some being Pokemon that are based on birds that can't fly, like penguins and ostriches. And others are, well, that thing is clearly flying. And this creature should have been a poison flying type, could have been the first poison flying type in 20 years, but instead you had to be Galarian Weezing's gay cousin. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below, and I will use it. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Now let's get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using a whole bunch of bird Pokemon, but they aren't flying, which in my opinion makes these birds a lot more unique than every other bird Pokemon that are flying type. Special thank you to Epicuro for coming up with this team idea. Now, the interesting thing about this team, first of all, great lead on my part. I have an Air Balloon Blaziken in front of an Iron Bundle, which is also technically a bird Pokemon that isn't flying type. But every single Pokemon on this team has a flying type move, and I also have Terra Flying on every single Pokemon on this team, which was one of the three biggest flaws with this team because, wow, this team was rough. And I don't mean rufflet. So, Iron Bundle is going to Terrasilize immediately into a water type. I was thinking like, oh my gosh, don't go for like Hydro Pump or something. But they go for Taunt. Now, that was a little unfortunate because this Ice-Q has Aurora Veil and Snowscape on this set. This entire team is themed around or based around Aurora Veil Ice-Q. And if that sounds terrible, that's because it is. So Flutter Mane comes in. I'm going to Flip Turn because really that was my only attacking move on that set. And so I get off a good decent chunk of damage to Flutter Mane. Now, I didn't see a booster energy, so I'm like immediately worried about this Pokemon having like Choice Specs or something, or like Life Orb. But they're going to bring in the Dragonite. Now, I'm running a Swords Dance Physical Pheasantipity on this team. This is the Pokemon that I think should have been the flying type the most. I mean, it's based on a pheasant, but so is Unpheasant. And like this Pokemon is like clearly flying, and like it would have been the first flying type since Crobat. So unfortunately this Dragonite has extreme speed for my Choice Banded Espatra. I was really hoping that it would just have like Iron Head and like they wouldn't have extreme speed, but like my Espatra gets taken out by a U-turn. By a U-turn. I get taken out by the U-turn Rocky Helmet chip. So bringing in my Ice-Q, I really thought that this would force a switch on Dragonite, but Dragonite stays in. They have no respect for Ice-Q whatsoever. The moves that I have on this are Snowscape, Aurora Veil with the Light Clay to boost the turns. I have a Flip Turn, and I have Feather Dance as my flying move to lower the attack. So I'm going for the Aurora Veil here. This Dragonite so far has only revealed Extreme Speed and Iron Head. So I was like, okay, well, I should be able to tank anything with my Quaxclaval. This is a pretty crazy Quaxclaval set. So they're going to go for the Iron Head. I do tank that. So going for the agility here. I'm hoping that this Dragonite might have something like Thunder Punch to activate my weakness policy. But they go for the Outrage. And even under Aurora Veil, that Outrage does so much. But I'm running a special Quaxclaval. Icy Wind is basically the best special ice move it gets. It doesn't get like Ice Beam, and it doesn't even take out the Dragonite. Oh my gosh, this is going terribly at the moment. But I do get a Confusion on the Dragonite, and I get it on a very low amount of health, which is nice because I can basically bring in my Pheasantipity and Revenge KO this with a Poison Tail. Now this Pokemon gets a Technician Poison Tail, and it has a dual Wing Beat with Terra Flying, which actually does hit pretty hard. And I have Double Kick as my last move. So Great Tusk comes in. I thought about Terrasilizing that turn, but I thought, well, I have a safe switching into my Decidueye anyway. They go for Brick Break as well, so they probably were expecting me to bring in my Air Balloon Blaziken. So they're going to go for the knockoff. That's going to knock off my Citrus Berry. I'm running a special Decidueye though. This Pokemon is pretty interesting because it has it loses its flying type when it evolves from Dartrix, but it gains the ghost typing, which it gets from its inspiration for a specific type of owl in a Hawaiian tradition. So this Great Tusk is going to be Focus Sash, which is unfortunate, but I am able to get off a lot of my HP, but the Aurora Veil is going to run out. So Knockoff is basically going to be doing as much damage as it did when I had an item under Veil, but I am able to tank the Knockoff, and I'm going to go for another Giga Drain and take out the Great Tusk. Now, the flying move that I have on this is Air Slash. I have a Nasty Plot, Citrus Berry, Giga Drain, Shadow Ball, Decidueye on this. So Lugia comes in. Oh boy. So this big hand bird is going to start setting up Calm Minds. Now, I was like, this Pokemon is going to be a pretty big pain, but I'm going to try to weaken it as much as possible with the Nasty Plot boosted Shadow Ball. It does a pretty decent chunk of damage considering it's a Lugia, and it's like it has a Calm Mind boost and it has multi-scale, right? So I'm wondering if this is like more of an offensive Lugia than a tanky one. So I'm going to get blown away by that Aeroblast, holy smokes. And Lugia is going to get more leftovers recovery. So I thought, if it is offensive Lugia, I want to be able to set up my Aurora Veil on this, but I outspeed it. I'm running a max special defense on this Ice Cube, so I was hoping that I would be able to get off the Aurora Veil and like mitigate this Lugia's damage. Once again, they have a flying type that they're not switching against an ice type. So disrespectful. But they are going to hit me with the Aeroblast, and I am able to tank that, which is nice. So that means I'm going to be able to set up my Aurora Veil this turn, and I'm going to be able to tank hits from this Lugia more efficiently. But I was worried about this Pokemon, like, I was worried about Ice Cube being potential free setup fodder and that they would go for repeated Calm Minds, but they just end up attacking me with like Earth Power. So I was completely fine with that. They're going to go for another Aeroblast and just take me out, obviously. They probably went for Earth Power just so that they wouldn't miss an Aeroblast, I'm guessing. So they're going to get more leftovers recovery. They're actually getting to the point where they're going to be back in multi-scale, but I thought Visitipity actually has a lot of great natural special defense, so I should be able to bait out an Earth Power and go for the Terra Flying this turn. So, getting some balloons on my head is my birthday at the moment, and I thought, well, I should be able to set up a free Swords Dance. I should be able to tank whatever hit this Lugia potentially goes for. So they're gonna go for the Earth Power as I Terrasilize, which is great. I get a free setup turn, but Lugia is going to have that leftovers recovery, and that's going to bring it back to multi-scale. So I thought, well, dual Wing Beat hits twice, so I really want to get off another Swords Dance. I'm getting pretty greedy, but I should be able to take an Aeroblast from this Lugia, but they go for Calm Mind. So I was like, okay, I basically have to do as much damage as possible with dual Wing Beat and hope that I don't miss, because dual Wing Beat has a chance to miss, and when it misses, it's really rough. So going for that dual Wing Beat, this is Terra Flying with Technician. It does some decent damage on the first hit, but the second hit does so much damage. It puts Lugia in the red, and Lugia goes for another Calm Mind. I was like, oh, that was pretty ambitious. They were probably expecting me to go for another Swords Dance, but they are in red, and I'm able to outspeed this Lugia as well. And I thought, well, I don't want to miss my dual Wing Beat, so I'm probably just going to go for the Poison Tail this turn and take out the Lugia. So that was really great. I got rid of their legendary, their Uber legendary at that. So the next Pokemon that comes in is Meowscarada. Now, I was worried about Triple Axle from this thing, but they end up going for the knockoff, and that's going to knock off my Lumberry. I have the Lumberry in case I get, like, burnt, but I'm going to be able to go for the double kick. Oh my gosh, the Meowscarada gets kicked. All it took was like one kick to the face, and that's going to check out the Meowscarada. Now, I do have my Veil up, so I thought the last two Pokemon are Iron Bundle and Fluttermane. Bundle, I was very afraid of. This Fluttermane ends up having Power Gem, and I get taken out by that because it quits me. No. Now, at this point in the battle, I was like, that was fine. I actually kind of wanted that to happen because of my Blaziken. And if this was choiced, it didn't matter, but okay, you're gonna see right now. So Blaziken is gonna be floating on his air balloon, but the Fluttermane has Taunt, which really messes things up for me because I went for the bulk up this turn, and I know that I could tank like any move from this Fluttermane, and I was really hoping that they would break my air balloon. I would get off a bulk up and just do as much damage as possible to the Iron Bundle. But the problem is that I'm running a substitute Focus Punch set on this. Is crazy. So I do take out the Fluttermane, but the problem is the Iron Bundle in the back, right? Iron Bundle has a lot of good defense, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to one-shot without any boost. So I was hoping, okay, I'm going to go for the substitute. maybe they go for the Terra Water Hydro Pump or something, and maybe they miss. That was my only win condition, but they are smart, and they go for the Terra Water flip turn, which I honestly didn't even take into account. And that's also going to break my substitute, which is unfortunate. So I was really like, I don't think the crit on Pheasantipity mattered. I wouldn't be able to live the Power Gem under Veil, but I'm going to get taken out by the flip turn from Iron Bundle, but still, despite the team, I was still happy with how close that game was. So that's the end of that first game. Hope you all enjoyed this video, or hope you all enjoying this video, because we have another battle coming up. And if you're enjoying this video, please feel free to hit the like button. I would really appreciate if more people were to be able to see my content and everything. So the second battle, we have a lead Hisui and Avalon. We're both ice types. We're both ice type buddies. And I thought, well, let me set up the snow for you. Let's make things more ambient for both of us. I basically gave this Pokemon like 1,000 defense by doing this, but like I wanted to set up my Aurora Veil, and I knew that this Pokemon only runs like physical moves. If it had Rock Blast, it was going to be a bit annoying. So I'm going to set up my Aurora Veil as the Hisui and Avalon goes for Rock Slide, but they miss. So I was like, oh, that's good. I'm able to preserve my Ice Base at the very least. And I'm going to go for the flip turn. I'm breaking its Sturdy or Focus Sash. And I'm going to bring in my Quetzalcoatl here. Now, this is a special attacking Quetzalcoatl. This set has Agility, Hydro Pump, Hurricane, and Icy Wind. It does not get any special fighting moves, and I couldn't give it like Terra Blast fighting or anything either. So Golurk comes in. I was like, oh, yeah, I should have went for a Hydro Pump that turn, but I wanted to go for the Agility because they had some fast Pokemon in the back that I wanted to outspeed. So the Golurk terrestrializes into a fighting type. I was like, okay, they're probably running like No Guard Dynamic Punch if I had to guess. So I'm gonna go for the Hydro Pump on my special Quetzalcoatl, and it does over half to the Golurk, but they end up going for that Dynamic Punch, and it does so much damage to me. I'm thinking that this might be like choice banded. I wonder if they're Iron Fist and they just went for Dynamic Punch. So I'm confused, and I really don't want to risk hitting myself in confusion. So I thought, well, if they are banded, I'm just gonna go into my Decidueye here and just tank the Dynamic Punch because of my Ghost typing. So they do go for the Dynamic Punch this turn, and they swap out. Now I went for the Air Slash this turn just in case they did stay in and they weren't choiced. Maybe they had like Iron Fist Dynamic Punch, I wasn't sure. But this Avalon comes in, maybe they were expecting me to be physical. Otherwise, I'm just gonna absolutely one-shot it with the Giga Drain. This Pokemon has like 0 special defense, so I was able to get rid of it, which is good. But then they bring in Staraptor, and this Pokemon is a humongous threat. This is a bird that is really good into my non-flying birds. So I'm going to bring in my Quetzalcoatl. Honestly, I was expecting to sacrifice this Pokemon, but they end up going for the U-turn as I swap in. So I was like, okay, maybe they expected me to swap in my Ice Cube for the Ice Base. But they bring in Heracross, so I was like, okay, this thing is definitely going to be like Choice Scarf with Moxie, but they aren't. And I go for Hurricane on this, and I just absolutely blow away the Heracross with that 4 times Hurricane. I really wasn't expecting to get a KO against the Heracross. I really thought it would be like Choice Scarf Moxie. So there goes my Quetzalcoatl to the U-turn, but man, the special Quetzalcoatl did a lot better than I thought. So Salazzle is going to come in, and I'm going to bring in my Espatra. Now, this is a choice banded Espatra. I have Brave Bird on this, even though it's a bird that can't fly. And I have U-turn, Zen Headbutt, and Low Kick. So going for that Zen Headbutt, I do tank the Sludge Wave, but the Salazzle has his Focus Sash. So I was like, okay, at least I broke his Focus Sash. I kind of figured that it would be Sash by the way that they brought it in. So they're going to take me out with the Flamethrower, but you know, I got some big Zen Headbutt damage on the Salazzle. So bringing in my Blaziken here. Now this turn I thought, well, maybe they fear Protect or something. So I'm just gonna go for, they're gonna swap out their Salazzle. And they're gonna go into the Gastrodon. So I was like, okay, well, I went for the Acrobatics this turn, just in case they did decide to break my Air Balloon. And this Gastrodon is gonna be more bulky. So this turn I thought, are they gonna go for like a Surf or something, or are they just gonna go for the Earth Power? Maybe they didn't see that I had an Air Balloon, so I'm gonna swap in my Decidueye. This was really my best option to deal with this Gastrodon because I have a 4 times super effective Giga Drain for this, but they do go for Earth Power, so I was like, oh shoot, they probably didn't see that I had like an Air Balloon. They, man, I could have set up a substitute. I was really hoping to go for the substitute, but I really was wondering if this Pokemon was running like a water move like Surf. So they bring us the Salazzle here. This turn I did go for the Giga Drain. I almost thought about Air Slashing this turn, but they do just sacrifice their Salazzle here. So they were probably expecting that I would go for the nasty plot as they switched in, which would have been a crazy play. That would have put me in a really bad position as well versus the Salazzle. So Staraptor comes in. Goody, I really don't have any switches into this, so I thought, unfortunately, I'm going to have to sacrifice my Fezandipity. It's kind of my weakest link at this point. And yeah, I just get walloped by Brave Bird, unfortunately. This Pokemon is a massive, massive threat, but I do still have my Ice Face on my Ice Q. So at the very least, I may be able to force this Pokemon out if they fear like an Ice move. So this Fly type, I finally am able to get a Fly type to swap out versus my Ice Q at the very least. So setting up my Snowscape. Now, this was an awkward situation because this Gastrodon more than likely has a Storm Drain, and that means that my flip turn would be giving this thing a special attack boost, and I really don't want to do that. And I don't have anything to touch this with because I can't go for Feather Dance because it's a special attacker. So they're gonna go for the Sludge Wave. Doesn't really do anything to me. We're out of like a standstill at the moment where like they can't really do much to me, but I really can't do anything to this. So I have to swap out here, and I thought, well, even if they are Ice Beam, I should be able to tank whatever hit they have. I'm guessing that, at this point, I was guessing that the Gastrodon was Earth Power, Sludge Wave, Recover, and like a hazard move like Stealth Rocks or Spikes. So I'm going to eat my Citrus Berry here. Now, I revealed that I had Giga Drain, so I thought, well, I'm going to go for the Air Slash just in case they bring in their Staraptor, but they stay in and they go for the Sludge Wave. So I was like, okay, that's unfortunate, but I take very, very minimal damage here. So I was like, okay, I don't think they have Ice Beam. I'm just going to go for another Air Slash, anticipating that they swap out and fear the Giga Drain. This time they do swap out and they go into their Golurk. Thankfully, I'm able to go for the Air Slash, and that just takes out the Golurk, which is great. This Pokemon is a massive threat with like Choice Band. It has a lot of attack, and I really didn't have much switch into that either. So Staraptor is going to swap in again. Pokemon that I really, really couldn't deal well with. Now this turn, I was really conflicted with this play because like I said, this Ice Cube really couldn't touch the Gastrodon at all, and I really was relying on my Decidueye to deal with the Gastrodon. So this turn I thought to sacrifice my Ice Cube in the face of the Staraptor here. Maybe in hindsight I should have just stayed in with Decidueye, but like I really couldn't do much to Gastrodon at all. So my last line defense versus the Staraptor is Blaziken. I pretty much have to Terrasilize this turn, and the Staraptor ends up swapping out. So maybe they did anticipate me to go Terrasilize this Pokemon because maybe they were expecting like a Terra Steel or like a defensive Terra. But otherwise, I'm going to Terrasilize into a flying type. Like I said, everything on this team is flying. And I thought, well, I'm just going to go for the Acrobatics in case they do stay in Brave Bird. I should be able to take it. And then they break my Air Balloon, and I'm able to hit them with the full base power Acrobatics. But they swap into their Gastrodon, and I do still have my Air Balloon. So I thought, well, I'm going to go for the substitute here. I'm thinking that this Gastrodon might just only have a Sludge Wave to deal with me. But then they reveal that they have Surf, which is unfortunate. But they break my Air Balloon. So now my Acrobatics is doubled in base power, and it's boosted by Terra Flying. The thing is, it's going to get very close as to whether or not this Gastrodon is going to be able to tank it, but especially after Leftovers recovery. But I did double the damage that I did, so my Aurora Veil runs out, and I'm thinking here, okay, this Terra Flying Acrobatics has to take out this Gastrodon, hopefully. And I do take out the Gastrodon, thankfully, and the last Pokemon is the Staraptor, and I have a lot of speed boosts as well, so even if they are Choice Scarf, I should be able to outspeed them. I'm gonna go for that Terra Flying Acrobatics, and that takes out the Staraptor. Thank goodness, this team was real. It had so many flaws. My speed control was like one of the worst things as well, and my fastest Pokemon was a physical Espatra. Amazing. That's the end of both games. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.